Hello and welcome to the Pots and Trowels podcast with me, Martin, Jill and Sean.
Hello. Hi.
We've got so much coming up in this episode for you, including a chat with an expert on battery lawnmowers, giving you all the things that you need to know about them.
Fantastic, yes. And we'd like to say thank you to Plant Grow, who support the podcast. Plant Grow develop a range of gardening products such as mulches and liquid feeds and multi-purpose composts, all made sustainably in Norfolk. So thanks to them.
And we've got some coming soon to spread on the garden, Mrs. Fish. So build up your muscles and ready to spread.
I'm going to be doing a lot of shoveling.
Fantastic. Well, later in the show also we've got the vegetable that needs to be lifted now, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And we're gonna show you a way to make good use of it. And also we've got some quick fire questions for Martin.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, right. Whoopie-doo.
Put you on the spot.
Yes. And I've got some jobs later on for you. So, so lots of questions are coming in at the moment, aren't there? We've had a lot.
Yeah, we have. I've had some on our email, which is info@potsandtrowels.com. So if you've got any questions at all on gardening, then do get in touch with us. And we've had one from Angela, and she said, "Dear team, following on from Martin's video on the pruning of the large Bramley apple," so that was one of our videos on YouTube that you can have a look at. "I pruned my pear tree too heavily a few winters past. Last summer, I removed one or two water shoots, but I fear not enough. As you'll see from the photo, there are now lots of upright branches. Could Martin please advise what proportion should be removed and those left should be tipped back by a third, and any lateral branches tipped back and by how much? There were only a couple of pairs last year. There are a lot of fruit buds this year, but not on all the upright branches."
Okay, you said quick questions. This is quite a long question, this one.
But the answer can be quick.
Well, it can't really, but I have seen the photographs and it looks really healthy. And bear in mind that lots of pears naturally have quite upright habit, more so than an apple tree. So it is that they just tend to want to grow up. But the good news is you've got lots of fruit buds lower down. So I would thin them out, and it's difficult to actually say without seeing it in person, but I would thin out some of those verticals just to make sure the ones that you leave are nicely spaced. And then what you can do is tip the others. Some you can cut a bit harder back down to just above the fruiting buds, some not quite as much, and they will hopefully send out some side shoots as well. So there's still time to do it. Here we are, it's third week in March, but they're only just starting to burst into buds, so it won't do them any harm to prune them. So you're pruning really for the shape. It will put on more vertical shoots through the summer, and then you'll just trim those back. So I think you're going to have to do a bit of annual pruning just to keep the shape and to encourage the fruiting wood. But it sounds like it's doing really well, and fingers crossed you'll get loads of pears this year. I'm hoping we will. We've got some flower buds on our new pear trees, good. So I'm hoping this is the year.
Good stuff. Okay, next question from YouTube. Plant Guy 86. This is about dahlia tubers. Okay. Hello, I've done this with a load of my dahlias first time, and they've all released about 5 to 7 shoots. Now, this is when Martin did a video on how to start your dahlia tubers, which we might have to recap as part of this, but effectively how to get them ready. I only put them halfway deep in a pot. I'm nervous about backfilling with soil and damaging the new growth. Should I wait until the new stems are about 3 or 4 inches tall and just carefully sprinkle the potting mix over till the new growth is just showing?
Okay, so these are the dormant tubers potted up, but you've left quite a bit sticking out. I think if you are careful, you'll be fine just to filter some fine compost around them. They're pretty tough and resilient. So long as you don't suddenly throw a load on and break them off, if you're careful and build it up around them, I think you'll be absolutely fine with them. And great that you've got so many shoots coming on them as well. That's good.
Okay, good quick answer, Martin.
Oh, I know, I've been practicing.
Now we have our star questionnaire, who Andrea Bradley. Hi, Andrea.
Ooh,
says she actually meant to send this with the last batch of questions that she had, but she forgot.
I think we need a hotline.
This is an extra. So she said, I also meant to ask you, what should I feed my Parthenocissus? Now you might need to help me with this. I can't say this. Henriana,
isn't it? Yeah.
I want to say Henrianii, but it's not. Anyway, what should she feed it with this spring? It's not in the ground, but planted in a galvanised cattle trough.
Okay, I forgot what the question was about it.
What should she feed it?
Oh, feeding. So it's in a cattle trough. So I wasn't paying attention. I thought I saw somebody coming to the door outside, so I lost attention.
It's a delivery.
But Parthenocissus, Virginia creepers, Boston ivies, all of those, great for scrambling, and lovely autumn colour they are as well. We need to get one, actually. We need to get the Parthenocissus.
Don't ask where it's going. Don't ask. Just don't ask.
I just
smile
them.
And nod.
Yeah. But feeding it in the garden, you wouldn't need to feed it very much at all, Andrea. But the fact that it's in a container in compost, it will use the nutrients faster. So I would use either one of the control release fertilizers that you buy that gradually release the fertilizer over the summer. Or if you've got any blood, fish and bone, then just get, maybe a small handful of that, sprinkle it around the base, tickle it into the compost. That is also slow release, but it's natural and it's organic, and it will do an amazing job.
Oh, good stuff. Okay. I think one more, and then perhaps we'll find out about battery tools or battery mowers, rather. Pruning blackcurrants, red currants, another YouTube question. We have a series of videos, I think, on pruning soft fruits. But this is hello. Okay. That's the start of the question. Negatia. Hello, I'm a little confused about pruning. The base of the bush eventually gets older than 2 or 3 years, right? Point from which grows from the soil. So I'm guessing perhaps you said, this is 2 or 3 years old. So they're perhaps wondering what you do when it's older than 2 or 3 years old.
Yes, I mean, because with a black currant, they fruit on the previous season's growth. So, we're recording this in March 2025. So the fruit we get on the growth it made last year in 2024, that growth is going to produce the fruit. And then the growth it makes this year will fruit next year. So that's why you do this renewal pruning. But of course, right down at the base of the plant, it could be 5, 10, 15 years old. So you obviously can't cut that out, but it's the growth that is made from the old growth that is what you want to produce the fruit. So don't worry about that old growth. As long as it's not old growth that's a metre tall, it's close to the ground, that's what you're aiming for. And, cut some hard back and it will shoot from ground level anyway.
Super stuff. Well, if you've got a question for Martin or the team, drop us an email, info@potsandtrowels.com. Later on, we're going to have a recipe from Jill.
We are.
And I'm just eyeing up this cake here that's on the table.
What is it? What is the cake today?
Well, the cake is ginger flapjack.
Oh, I know that because I've had 3 bits.
I knew that as well because I had 3 bits.
I thought you needed something warming inside you, something to keep you going,
you.
so it's sort of stodge, a bit of stodge to keep you going.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to nibble on a piece of that while we go over and hear from Jason.
Jason, yeah. Well, today Sean and I have been doing a bit of a filming session out on the lawn. We've been doing some promotional filming for Ego with their battery-powered mowers. We've been having great fun playing around with them, haven't we, Sean?
Yeah, it's they're amazing bits of kit, and I actually want one for my garden, even though I don't know if it's big enough to have a full-blown Ego. But we're here with Jason, who is one of the technical advisors.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, and you're from Henton Chattel in Nottingham, who supply them. So, I mean, they are brilliant bits of kit. Are you finding now you're selling more petrol or battery? Which is the most popular?
I would say in the last couple of years, it's probably swung the battery way. Well over 50% that I'm aware of is battery powered product. We've got a lot of councils, landscapers, personal users are going the battery way. It's cleaner, more efficient. It just seems to work.
What about in terms of maintenance then? Because we know that kind of petrol engines need to be serviced and stuff, but there must be stuff that you need to with battery stuff as well, is there? Lots of stuff's there, but you get.
Yeah, I mean, you basically you don't have an engine. You've got no working parts in there that need maintenance, no lubrication, so it's a cleaner service. You've got to maintain it. Obviously, you've got moving parts, bearings on there that do need attention. But as combustion-wise, dirty oils, things like that, fuels, there's nothing to take care of.
And what about battery life? I mean, is it getting better? Because years ago, if you got anything that was battery powered, it didn't last long. But presumably, the technology is now getting better.
Yeah, there are different. How can I say? Component-wise, in lithium batteries, there's different kinds of substances for different uses. So I think lithium has progressed a lot. Back, when we first started doing battery-powered garden equipment, it was probably lead. which wasn't good anyway. So the lithium is definitely more advanced, and yeah, there's a good life in it now. It's increased to what it used to be. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a little Cobra mower with a battery life on it, and I can mow all my lawns on one charge. The thing I often forget is to charge it up. So I'll mow it, put it away, then you get it out next time. So, and then you've got to think, oh, blimey, I've not got enough charge. I've got to start again. So I suppose you've got to get into that mindset of always having it on charge.
Yes, with the Cobra batteries, yes, it is a routine maintenance, if you like, over the winter or long periods, such as Ego. Their batteries will go into, if you've not used it for 30 days, it will go into a self-maintenance mode. So it will drain itself down to the optimum, but it's not too low to, not recognise the charge. So it will drop itself down to a voltage and put itself into storage. So it's a case of just popping that back on the charger to revive it.
So they're really smart, that's clear. And I have to be careful about how I ask this because I drive an electric car anyway, but it is definitely a mindset thing. But how quickly can you get mowing again if for instance, you do forget like that? I mean, does that depend on the device?
It would depend on, the equipment that you're using. You can get a rapid charge, you can get a standard charge. Also the size of your lawn, you wouldn't, Ego start at 2.5 amps and they go up to 12 amps. The amps is the fuel, so it's the size of your fuel tank. So if you've not got a small lawn, you've got a 2.5 amp battery, it's obviously going to charge quicker. So you could be back in action within half an hour. But the ideal way is buy 2 batteries, have one charged always. So.
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing. And am I right in thinking that in the winter, when you're not mowing, obviously you say these go into a sleep mode, but should you keep the batteries above a certain temperature? They don't want to freeze, do they?
Yes, you need to be storing them indoors, really, or, outside in a shed that's going to drop. I think it's below 10 degrees can start to affect lithium. So obviously if you're minus degrees, it's not going to be good for your battery. So you do need to store them inside.
Yeah.
And we do, obviously everybody these days has got a smartphone, and we know that after a few years the battery starts not lasting as long. Is that also a problem with these tools?
It will be with any lithium tool, yeah. They won't last forever. I'm not sure of the actual figures, but there will be there's an amount of cycles in a battery, charges and discharges. I don't know what that figure is, but there is a life to it, yeah.
But the secret is for longevity, is it to keep it topped up? Is that always better to have your battery full, or does it not make any difference?
That is a grey area. Some manufacturers will say keep it half charged, so it's very grey. I think it depends on the equipment, the battery management system in the battery, and how it's designed to look after the battery, because some will discharge to the optimum level, others don't have such an advanced battery management system, so it will just drain.
I think knowing what I know from the vehicles, electric vehicles, they suggest you keep it between 20 and 80% because there's it doesn't charge in a straight line, right? When you start it, it charges slowly. When it gets to the middle, it seems to charge quickly. And then when it gets near the top, as in nearly full, it charges very slowly. Yes. So the suggestion, certainly with cars, is to keep them recharge when you get down to 20%, but only up to about 80% most of the time. So I wonder if it's the same.
I do have an e-bike and I use the same principle. So yes, it would probably apply to gardening equipment as well.
Just a thought on the temperature. I mean, I haven't got an electric car. You have, Sean. We're saying they need to be ideally above 10 degrees C, 50 Fahrenheit. But your car lives outside. So what happens when it's minus 5 degrees outside? Does it not start in the morning? Does it go?
Now, so there's obviously a smile on Martin's face as he asked that. There is much more advanced battery management on an electric vehicle, okay? And I suspect probably actually warm the battery, and they do what's called preconditioning. So they put the battery into certain modes, but it definitely doesn't last as long when it's colder. So obviously with mowers and the like, you're probably not going to be running them when it's very, very cold outside, generally just because of the time of year is not the time for mowing. But certainly we've all had power tools and things like that, a drill where you want to try and use it and it runs out, and the car doesn't drive as far when it's cold. Fact.
So you do need that warmth. I mean, I haven't got an electric car. I have got a little mower and I've got a hedge trimmer and a blower and a strimmer that are electric. Obviously, you can still get petrol ones. Do you think it's going to be many years before petrol is phased out with garden equipment, or do you think it will always be there? Because, years ago, you would never dream of having a big commercial mower on battery. But of course, there's some big commercial ones now.
Available.
So will they take over completely, do you think, in a few years?
Personally, I believe that will be the case. Obviously, it's better for the planet. I think in California, they've already banned two-strokes for quite some time. So because of the emissions things, I wouldn't be surprised if battery take over. Yeah, you're gonna have some specialist arborists or things like that who are going to need extra power for chainsaws and such. But I think the majority will be battery powered. Yeah.
And we probably have to be devil's advocate here. And I'm probably not the right person to ask this question because I'm the one who drives the electric vehicle. But lithium is one of those resources that is certainly contentious, isn't it?
Yes.
So, I mean, more contentious than fossil fuels. I mean, I see people sharing these open cast mine site pictures. I mean, I still think there's an argument to say that oil's probably worse. But what do you think about that? Do you think that's a big issue?
Personally, I have seen the issue that you're talking about, and I do think it's an issue personally. Especially as it's going to go into the future. Can we deplete lithium? It's an unknown, I think, at the moment. Well, unknown to myself.
I think it probably comes down to recycling, right? Because presumably the lithium is still there and it can be used again. Whereas once you've burnt some petrol, you've burnt it. It's gone, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not. We're perhaps not in the expert position to. I just thought I'd raise it because people will be wondering and thinking about it.
Coming from a coal mining background, I'm just wondering if one day we might go back to coal and steam to power our trains and steam engines and things. Maybe not.
Fired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the technology has increased tremendously, hasn't it, on battery power? And the mowers we've been trying today, they've got so much power. So it is the way forward, isn't it?
And they're actually a lot of fun to use, aren't they? And the fact that, of course, you mentioned it at the beginning, but the fact that they're quiet as well, I think, has got to be a plus, right? Yeah. And just one last thing then. So we've been talking a lot about mowers, but hand tools. Martin mentioned there, hedge trimmers and things like that. I mean, there's a huge range of those around at the minute.
Oh yeah, I mean, hand tools are a lot user friendly. So councils, where they've been using petrol. Two-stroke powered equipment, they have to have halves measurements. It's not good for your joints. It's white finger. The lithium powered hand tools are so comfortable to use.
Oh, because of vibrations.
Yeah, the vibrations are less. They're lighter than a big hefty, petrol chainsaw. So there's benefits for people who actually have to work daily with the machines rather than just doing their own gardens. So.
Which makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And with lots of the different ranges, the battery is universal. It will fit across the whole range. You don't have to have different batteries. So that is good in itself. So
And of course, you don't need to go to the petrol station and fill up a little kind of jerry can of petrol or whatever anymore. You can just plug in your solar panels, right?
Yeah, well, that's true because the petrol has changed anyway, hasn't it, over recent years? Yeah. So I know my petrol mower, old one, doesn't run as well on modern petrol as it used to do. So, when my petrol mower dies, I won't get another petrol mower.
What is the E10 then?
E10 has got more ethanol in. I'm not sure the exact reason for the science. More ethanol will attract more moisture from the air. So in your carburetor, your fuel tank, you'll have a mixture of water and fuel. It's contaminated, which is why your mower will run poorly. Also, the extra ethanol can perish any rubber pieces, components in your carburetor or your engine. So we do see E10 fuel can be a problem for a conventional mower.
Makes you wonder whether I should go back to an old push cylinder mower like I had when I was about 20.
Well, I think Cobra do one of those, don't they?
They do, yes, exactly. Yeah, good. It's like having a workout in the garden.
Yeah, why pay a gym subscription?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Exactly. Jason, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll go and play with some more mowers now, Sean.
Let's go. Later on, we've got a couple of quick fire questions left over. Hellebores. We're talking hellebores. So we'll interrogate Martin on hellebores.
And Euonymus.
And Euonymus, yes. And also there's that recipe from Jill coming up later. But yeah, Jason, great guy, wasn't he? Really interesting to hear about those mowers. Well, and get the chance to get hands-on with them.
The technology has come on in leap and bounds as we talked about in the interview, because years ago when they first came out, batteries didn't last long, they went flat. they hadn't got the power, but they are now so much better. I mean, I think they are as good in many ways as a petrol mower.
Well, I mean, workmen are using battery tools all day, every day.
Absolutely, yeah.
The technology has moved on for vehicles and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's
But
good.
even garden contractors are using battery-powered ride-on mowers now, and doing a really good job with them. So I mean, we've got a little battery-powered pedestrian mower in the garage there that I use to do the lawns. I got it mainly because I thought it would encourage Jill to mow the lawns, because she said she struggles to start the petrol mower.
Now,
and
I'm just
never
gonna put
has
the
she
record
got
straight.
it out.
No, you are very territorial about your lawn. You don't,
I don't
like
mind sharing
anybody
it
else.
with you.
No,
I
that's
don't mind.
a lie, Martin.
You're allowed to do the edges, I think. As I understand
yeah,
it.
I am the edges queen.
Well, maybe one week I'll do the edges and you
no,
can
'cause
do
you
the
don't
mowing.
do them right.
Who's territorial now?
I trained as a gardener when I was 16.
Yeah, but you've not got enough patience to do
Oh,
the
right.
edges.
Yeah, well, I do that on purpose so that
Anyway,
you'll take over
enough
and do
of the
them.
domestics.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to give me a chance to finish this flapjack then when you were chatting.
Sorry about this,
That's
yes.
all right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. Shall we hear these jobs for this week? What should we be doing in the
well,
garden?
there's a few things we can. One of them is actually mowing. So I felt the fact that we've been talking about mowers and trialing them, because here we are now. We've had certainly in the UK we had a warm start, then we've had some cooler weather. That typical spring where it's all over the place. But the grass is definitely starting to grow. The soil temperatures are now gradually rising. Even in the veg garden, I've had the thermometer in, and they're rising a little bit. So the grass is going to start growing. And the secret is don't mow it too close and mow little and often. And that will really thicken it up. And that's why I'm trying to encourage Jill to get out there more with the lawnmower. So if you haven't mown your lawn already, now is the time to do it. Don't scalp it, take the top off, get it to thicken up, and it will just help keep it green and looking lush all the way through the summer. So that's one little job you can do in. The other one is, in the veg plot, we've got some celeriac. Now, it's strange, isn't it? Because I'm going to be sowing seed of celeriac, but also it's time to harvest the last of the celeriac. And for those that don't know celeriac, it's more, it looks like a gnarled turnip, but it tastes like celeriac.
Yeah.
It's about the size of a big grapefruit. And
Tastes like celery.
a bit watered.
Yeah.
What did I say?
It tastes like celery. I hope it tastes like celery.
It tastes like celery.
Celery.
So, yes, well done. I'm glad you're listening. And they've been, it's a year since sowing them, but we need to get them out because I need the ground to plant other things in. So there's a few left to harvest, which Mrs. Fish is going to be gifted.
I think there's a bit of a cautionary tale there, though, isn't there? There's a few left to harvest, so maybe don't plant quite as many.
Too many?
No, you didn't cook us enough with them. So I'm going to also be...
I'm too busy mowing the grass, that's why.
So sowing the celeriac seed, very easy. Sow it in a little tray, prick it out into modules, and then we can plant them out sort of May time. And also going to be doing some pruning in the garden. It's the point now where the dogwoods, which are grown for their lovely colourful stems, I love them. We've got red stems, we've got orange stems, we've got green stems, almost black, really deep purple stems. And they've looked lovely over the winter, but they're just starting to show signs of growth now. So it's a case of getting the secateurs out, pruning them hard back to ground level, and then they'll produce lots and lots of new shoots that will look great next winter.
I think you mentioned that before because we talked about giving the stems to florists, didn't we?
Yeah, we have. Yes, we used to give them to Jonathan Mosley, didn't we? I used to
Yes,
bundle them
we
up
did
for
talk about
Jonathan.
that, yeah.
We haven't got as many, but once these are bulked up in a few years, because ours are new plants, I think, have we done a video on
I was going to
this?
say, if you want to see exactly how to do that, then watch our latest Pots and Trowels video. I think it was this week's.
Yeah.
So it's there on YouTube.
Super duper, super duper. So when we got our celeriac out, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah, what are we going to do with it?
Well, seeing as you've been out filming today with Jason, thank you. Seeing as we've been out filming with Jason today, and it got a bit cold and wet, didn't it, really, at one point? So I thought you did need a hearty soup to keep you warm, as well as the ginger flapjack, which I can see you munching away on, Sean. But yeah, no, we do need to use some of our celeriac up because it's coming out of the veg plot. So I just thought a really good soup. Not everybody really loves the taste of celeriac. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a popular veg, but it's nice, and you can do some various different things with it. But
But
the
I
soup
think
is a
it
bit
could
of a
be made
classic.
more popular. popular. I think a lot of people probably haven't tried it. But it is delicious because I like it mixed in with mashed potato. It just gives that special little flavour to it.
Can be quite hard to digest. They're often
high in fibre. High in fibre is good.
Yes, it's better to sort of blend it with other things, not suddenly have a huge intake of it. I should have told you that before you had the soup.
Good to know. And the seconds. I did actually have seconds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did. But very easy to make. So this is a celeriac, smoky bacon and mustard soup. So lots of lovely flavours in them, blending together with the celeriac. So all I do is really simple. Just get some rashers of smoky bacon, dice them up, fry those until they're lovely and crispy, and then put those to one side. Then get a good knob of butter, melt that in your pan, and add in a chopped onion and some leek as well. So let those cook with the lid on for about 10 minutes till they're nice and soft. Then add in your diced celeriac and some potato as well if you want to, and then some stock and the mustard. So just a teaspoon of English mustard or Dijon mustard. It works really nicely. Let that simmer together for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes till everything's nice and soft and cooked. Then put it into a blender or use a stick blender. Whiz that until it's nice and smooth. Then add back in your crispy smoked bacon and let that just cook for 5 minutes or so. So all those bacony flavours mix into the soup. Then a squeeze of lemon juice and a few tablespoons of double cream. Let that cook again for another 5 minutes or so. And that's it. And then it's ready to go. So you could always, if you wanted to, use a whole grain mustard and just stir that through the finished soup, so you've got those little bits of the whole grain there as well, just an extra little pop of flavour. So, but I did ask you what flavour you thought it was, and you weren't 100%. You got leeks, didn't you? But
I thought it might be leeks. There was a bit of me, mainly, if I'm honest, based on the colour, I thought it might be parsnip.
Yeah.
But that was more on the colour than the taste.
Yes.
So, very nice.
And did you enjoy it?
It was delicious.
You could tell the truth. Don't worry about Jill.
Well, actually, no, it was delicious.
Yes.
As I said before, I had seconds.
Yeah, it was very nice,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
Really good.
Yes. Well, there's more to come because we've got several more roots in the garden ready for lifting.
Well, we'll put the link to the recipe on the notes on the bottom of the podcast.
And if I forget to do that, please do comment and ask me, and I will happily do it. Like last time, thank you very much. Imaginative username for pointing out that I'd forgotten to do that last time. So I will do that, or Martin or Jill might do that.
I don't know how to do it.
Have full access
that's
to.
far too
no, it's too technical.
Sure, that's
You have to show me how to do it.
Okay. Well, we are just recording this a few days earlier than normal because I've got a trip to America coming up, so I won't be around. I did offer to do this live from the opposite side of the pond.
Can you tell us anything about it?
And where are you going?
It's a work thing, isn't it?
I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back by the time this goes out. It is California. I'm going to San Jose, and I am going to be filming at an AI conference with a company called NVIDIA. So AI we've discussed on the podcast briefly before. But so be closer to some of our listeners because we have
we've got quite a few listeners over there.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I have a question from over there. So Pauline, who lives in the New York region, says, "Hi, loving your podcast on a Sunday morning. Such joy to hear English voices. I get such excellent hints and tips for growing, pruning and tending my garden." Now, Pauline sent us a photograph. There's a white growth on her Euonymus. It started at the back of the house and it's slowly creeping its way around to the front, but only on the Euonymus. That's a very big Euonymus then, isn't it? We live in New York on the beach. Thank you again for your amazing programmes, both podcast and videos. They are incredibly helpful. Love to you all, from an expat Brit and avid listener.
Thank you, Pauline. Well, it looks... This is one of the quite big leaf, dark green, glossy leafed Euonymus. Some people grow it as a hedge, so it makes a good dense shrub. It looks very much like mildew on there, from what I can tell, but it's quite a bad infestation of mildew. And it's unusual to get mildew at this time of the year. Certainly in England, you normally get it later on in the year, and it's often caused as a stress reaction. So Euonymus are prone to it. And if they get stressed, and it's usually lack of water or nutrients, or it can be heat stress. So whether it could be cold stress, I don't know. But it manifests on the leaf. So it's a fungal disease, essentially. And it's worse when the roots are stressed and then the foliage gets damp, and that triggers off the fungal spores to grow. So getting rid of it isn't easy. It looks like it's been pruned. There are fungicides that are available. So if you're happy to use a fungicide, sort of a rose fungicide would work, I think. But it's not. It's only preventative. It's not curative. So it won't get rid of the damage that's already been caused on the leaf. So you're probably going to have to remove some of those leaves or prune off some of the stems and then spray it to prevent it happening again. And just check the roots. I mean, I don't know what sort of soil you've got, but if you think it's stressed...
Sandy. It says sandy.
Sandy. That could be part... If it's stressed and it dries out at certain times, then it might be worth mulching with some compost, maybe giving it a bit of a feed so that you're increasing the nutrient levels just to promote stronger, healthy growth. So a bit of cultural, with improving the soil, watering in dry weather, and a bit of fungicide as well, I'm sure you can keep it under control. If you don't want to use the fungicide, that's fine. You're going to get it, but you can probably reduce it by the other ways as well.
Is that something that we'd suffer from in the UK?
We get it on all sorts of things, on clematis, honeysuckles get it, roses get it, Euonymus will get it, especially that type, the japonica type.
Can you wipe it off, or is that...
You could wipe it off. Take you
Have
a
you
while.
seen the photo?
I have seen the photo, but I was thinking...
It's a big problem.
I was thinking about things like, I think it was last year when we talked about winter tree washes, and I was thinking about things like that, and could you, at least get some of the leaves clear? But,
you could do. I mean, you can't use a winter wash because it's an evergreen, it would scorch, but you could, wipe some off. But I'd do a bit of pruning. The good thing is if you prune a Euonymus back into old wood, it will shoot. And this is the time of the year when it's thinking about making new growth. So hopefully it will improve. And thank you for your lovely comments.
Yes, I appreciate those. So a couple of Hellebore questions.
Hellebore questions.
All right, so first one on the how to prune Hellebores question. Great video. I'm in the UK. Is it too late to take the leaves off now? They're in full flower and unsure if to do it or I need to wait. That's from Feet Down Barrows.
Feet down bar. I would take them off now. It is a little bit late, but if you think about it, in the wild, nobody takes the leaves off them. So what they do is they produce this new growth from the centre of the clump in the spring. So you get the leaves and then the flowers, and the old leaves would flop and they would eventually die, I suppose, and rot in the wild. We do it more for aesthetic reason. We want them to look neat. So, and it also prevents the spread of fungal diseases. So that's the two reasons that we do it. So I would do it, even though they're in full flower and you're getting those lovely new, very lush leaves from the centre of the clump. Just be careful that you only cut the old ones off as close to the clump as possible. They'll instantly look better and all the energy is then going into that new growth. So not too late.
It's funny you should say that, because when I was edging the other day, I was going round where our hellebores are, and I did think they just looked more upright.
They do. The new leaf seems to grow up because it's soft, and then as it sort of hardens, it flops out more. But ideally do it sort of January, early February in the future if you can, but it's not too late. Never too late.
Good. Okay, other Hellebore one is on an older video of ours called Hellebore Help, Care and Propagation by Kay White. Very helpful video. I have only one plant in the ground and it's been in the same spot for 3 years. After watching this video, I checked around the plant hoping to find babies but found none. Wondering what I need to change to make this happen in the future. It looks healthy and has great foliage and blooms, but no multiplication. Any tips? Now, I think this is because you talked about little seedling, sort of self-propagation, didn't you?
Yes, it was. In fact, all the hellebores in this garden came from our old garden, and they came from the previous garden. So I'm mean, really. So I like to take the seedlings, and very often, if they flower and you don't deadhead them, then the seed pods will burst open and the seeds drop and germinate. So why you're not getting any, I'm not sure.
There is another sort of further point. She comes back a little bit later. I think I figured it out after looking more online. Evidently, there are sterile hybrids.
Maybe.
I'm guessing that's what I brought home from the store. I'm guessing that's what it is now, on the hunt for a fertile hellebore. Is that a possibility there?
Yes, it could be. Maybe some of the hybrids are being so cross-pollinated, especially double flowers. If it's a double hellebore, they don't often set seed. So that could be one reason. I was going to suggest it maybe that you're really, really meticulously at sort of hoeing and weeding around the base and you're chopping the seedlings off. But if that's not the case, you would have thought you'd have got some seedlings by now. So maybe buy a different hellebore, single flowered one. Don't weed, well, do a bit of hand weeding, but not chopping off any seedlings, and hopefully you'll get some. I'm hoping that ours will seed this year because these are young plants. It's the first year they've flowered in the garden. They're looking lovely at the minute, and I'm hoping we'll get lots of seedlings. It'll be next year that we get them.
So for those people who haven't watched the video, with those seedlings, is it better to take out a few and put them into pots so that you can get them nice and strong, or just leave them in the garden?
I would take them out, because if you leave, when they seed, you normally get lots of seedlings and they're going to all swamp each other out. So what we've done in the past, or I have, because you're too busy edging the lawn, is I've gone and hoeing, but not mowing, is I've gone with either little pots or cell trays of compost and just lever them out with a dibber, prick them out, and then grow them on in a cold frame or in the cold greenhouse, and then pot them up, and a year later you can put them in the garden. And it takes about 2 years to get to flowering stage, but I think if you leave them there, you'll just get a tangled mass, so you've got to take some away and get rid of the rest.
Good stuff. Stuff. That's all the questions for this week. So,
Okay.
but if anybody else got a question to send, please drop us an email or leave us a comment. But info@pots&trowels. What's it called?
pots&trowels.com.
I need to put my teeth in now.
You do. Too much cake, that's what it is.
I know. There is a little bit of
You're on
flag
sugar
there.
Yes.
high now.
And we had a message from Nigel.
Yes.
We met a gentleman at an
yes.
event. Has he been in touch about
He
it?
has, yeah. Jill and Martin, thanks for taking the time to chat at the Gardening Press event. Would be nice to also meet Sean sometime for some tech talk on the show production. Hi, Nigel. We'll look out for you all at some of the year's shows. Happy growing, everyone. Nigel, that's Muddy Boots.
Yeah,
So I think he makes videos.
He makes videos from his allotment. So yeah, it was good to meet you, Nigel. Yes.
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
And I should just say, talking about the shows, because we're coming up to show season, aren't we now? All the flower shows, and we sort of take our little mobile theatre around to the show. So can we do a quick plug for that, for the potting shed?
We
not?
can. And in
Yeah.
fact, this coming weekend, this one, you'll be listening to this, it goes out on the 23rd of March, but on the later this week, and I haven't got the diary, is it the 28th, 29th and 30th of March, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be at RHS Harlow Car in North Yorkshire with the Potting Shed stage, with Jonathan Mosley doing talks and demonstrations. So if you are in the North Yorkshire area and you're going to Harlow Car,
Do say hi.
come and say hello to us and ask a question.
But then if you want to see us at any of the other flower shows, then there is a page on our website, which we could maybe put a link to as well.
Absolutely.
But that's just martinfish.com, and that's got a list of all the shows that you can see us. So yeah, come and say hello.
Brilliant.
Identify yourself as a Pots and Trowels viewer.
Yes, for I'd like to say to get a sticker or something. We haven't got any stickers, so you can't have a sticker. Yeah,
And if you're on a transatlantic flight sitting next to Sean, say hello.
Now, the stranger things have happened, haven't they?
They have,
You never
they
know.
have.
It's a small world.
Absolutely. I think we're running out of time.
I
aren't we?
think we are, yes, and we've got more cake to finish off.
I know,
that's-
one each, but it looks
one each, lovely, right?
All right, thanks very much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Watch the videos on YouTube or Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter or X, and subscribe to the podcast and never miss a thing. For more information, go to potsandtrowels.com.